Have you ever waited for someone who never came? Steve asked himself this question many times. Every year, on the first Saturday of June, Steve waited at the old clock tower in the middle of the city. He always stood under the big tree near the fountain. He always looked at his watch, and he always waited for her. Her name was Maria. Steve and Maria met when they were children. They both loved the clock tower. It was tall, beautiful, and very old. They played there every Saturday morning. They ran around the fountain, laughed, and ate ice cream. They loved sitting under the big tree and listening to the clock strike. One day, Maria said, "Steve, when we grow up, let's meet here. Every year, at 10 o'clock. Steve smiled and said, "Yes." When the clock strikes 10, years passed. Steve and Maria grew up. They went to different schools. They lived in different cities. But every year, on the first Saturday of June, they met at the clock tower at 10 o'clock. It was their special promise. The first few years were easy. They both came, smiling and laughing, happy to see each other. They talked for hours about life, work, family, and dreams. One year, Steve brought a yellow rose for Maria. It was her favorite flower. She smiled so brightly that Steve never forgot that moment. Another year, Maria brought Steve a small book. Inside she wrote, "For Steve, my best friend forever." Time kept moving. Steve got busy with work. Maria traveled to faraway places. Still, they never forgot the promise. They always came back, always at 10, until one year, Steve stood under the big tree. He checked his watch. It was 9:55. He smiled and looked around. The fountain still made soft splashes. The old clock ticked slowly. The city moved with quiet steps. 9:58. 9:59. The clock struck 10. Bong, bong, bong. Steve smiled. Any second now, he thought, Maria would walk around the corner, waving, her hair shining in the sun. She always did. But she didn't come. He waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. No Maria. Steve walked slowly home that day, the yellow rose still in his hand. It's okay, he thought. Maybe she is sick. Maybe she forgot. Next year she will come. The next year, Steve came again. He stood under the big tree, holding another yellow rose. He looked around. He listened to the clock strike 10. But Maria did not come. The year after that, Steve came again, and again, and again. Each time the same. Steve waited. The clock struck 10, but Maria never came. Years passed. Steve's hair became gray. His hands became slower. His eyes became softer. But still, every first Saturday of June, he came. He stood under the big tree. He held a yellow rose. He waited. One year, Steve sat on the bench near the tree. He was tired. He closed his eyes. He remembered Maria's laugh. He remembered the smell of ice cream on warm summer days. He remembered her promise. When the clock strikes 10, the clock began to ring. Steve opened his eyes, and there in front of him stood a young girl. She looked about 20 years old. She had the same bright hair as Maria. She smiled, holding a small yellow rose. "Hello," she said. "Are you Steve?" Steve nodded, too surprised to speak. "My name is Juliet," she said. "Maria was my mother." Steve's heart beat fast. He could not speak for a moment. "She told me about you," Juliet said. "She told me you were her best friend. She wanted to come back." Every year she tried. But she became very sick. She could not travel any more. She wanted me to come, to meet you, to say thank you. Steve felt tears in his eyes. He smiled. "Thank you for coming," he said. His voice was soft. They sat together under the big tree. They talked for hours. Juliet told Steve stories about Maria's life, about her travels, about her dreams. And Steve told Juliet stories about the days at the clock tower, about the ice cream, about the laughter, and about the promise. The clock struck again at 3 o'clock. Steve looked at Juliet and said, "Will you come back next year?" Juliet smiled. "Yes, when the clock strikes 10. And so, a new promise was born.